welcome to Tiger Vision. We are Duval with head coach Cabral Huff. Coach, we got special guests. We got your AC in the building,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chris Reedy in the building. Um, Coach, I won't really try to do the intro. I know I won't be able to do it the way that you can. Um, so if you can, just introduce our special guest to everybody joining us today.
Man, grateful and blessed to have assistant coach Christopher Reedy, not only on the show, but here in Jacksonville as a member of our staff. One of the most genuine, hardest working dudes that you'll ever find in this business. Just goes about it the right way. So when I was able to bring him aboard, that was the first recruiting win we got, getting him and then getting Coach Britt. Those are the first two recruiting wins we got this off season. So extremely excited about him. He brings experience on different levels, the levels that we definitely needed in this program, having been an assistant at Division II before, Lee University and Columbus State, but also having the JUCO experience as an assistant because I always felt when that time came for me to get another job, if that ever happened, I wanted to add someone with JUCO experience to it because in this new day and age of the portal and maybe having to flip your team quicker than you would normally do, who knows that better than a JUCO coach? And then having seen his work, being on the road beside him, talking to him, extremely excited. And hopefully everyone here in our Tiger family can see why he's aboard tonight.
For sure. Reedy, let's start there, man. Let's start with the JUCO experience. You have a lot of basketball experience, period, but most recently coming from a JUCO, how have you seen the use of JUCO talent change over the years?
The use of JUCO talent, especially with the portal, everybody's wanting to be older to win. That's just kind of the nature of it. And so on the other side of being JUCO and watching your guys recruit, their recruitment started earlier than normal now. The offers have started to come earlier than normal now because they're older route. If you're not getting the portal guy, which the portal guy is not popping till late, a lot of people trying to go in and take a couple JUCO guys, and it's definitely, if you're not on top of things JUCO wise, you can miss out quicker than before. Now on the other flip side to it, when I was recruiting for JUCO, it helped us because now there was high school kids, prep kids that, just even when I started at Lee or even the beginning of Columbus State, like guys that would normally be gone or the traditional, I'm going to hold out till late to get something has kind of gone away. So there's been I've kind of been watching it within the last 5 years. There's a new re-education of JUCO going on because there's a lot of kids that don't know it or don't know about it. And they're learning about it behind be real, the negative connotation that comes with JUCO because everybody just assumes they did something wrong or there's a reason they're there. When really it could be grades, it could just be recruitment, like different reasons. But it's done a re-education, and I thought it's shown a bigger light on JUCO to where it's getting more exposure now of not just players, but there's actually good coaches in JUCO. Like there's some really good coaches in JUCO. Outside of everybody knows a lot of the big name ones. But if you go down into like where I was at, Alabama's not as known, but there's a run of coaches in that league that are really, really good. And how they coach kids is really good. And it's now getting out there to where, schools that you guys have probably never heard of, because obviously where I was at, I know you guys ain't heard of them until I was around. And there's just more schools and it's more education coming about it. And that part of it is a joy to watch since being from there. But also, when I was there, the doors that were opening for the JUCO guys, more so than the traditional schools that normally went after them, was a pleasure to see.
So Huff, I want you to touch on that a little bit. Reedy dropped a few gems in regards to recruiting, and I want to make sure people didn't miss that when he talked about that you can miss a JUCO guy, you can miss a really talented JUCO guy if you're not going after him at the right time, because the timing of that, how that calendar works, is totally different now. So just kind of touch on that and how you plan to utilize JUCO in recruiting for the team.
Well, just kind of like what Coach Reedy touched on is in the past, before the portal kind of exploded, guys would wait to Hutch, Division One. If you made it to Hutch, which was, the going for the title in Division One JUCO or Dansville Division Two, they would kind of wait to that time before they really wanted to see a kid. And I don't think you get that time to just wait anymore, like to know that you really like a kid, because like he said, that portal hits, you may not get that kid till later on. Well, there was a time where JUCO kids would be those kids that were waiting till the time the portal kids were. So you could wait that long to get them. Well, now it's not the case because they're already behind the 8 ball. So it makes us here at Edward Waters have to do our due diligence early. That meant when they were having, I think, Reedy, if I'm not mistaken, it was only after COVID they started doing the summer stuff for the JUCOs.
Yep.
Right?
Well, they did one right before COVID. It was the first one ever. And then COVID hit, and it was a restart right after that.
And so making sure not only are you going to watch those high school teams in June, not only you're going to watch AAU, but you're getting out to go watch that JUCO, the JUCO events that's happening in the summertime. And then when you get to the jamborees, are you making contacts and going out to watch it on those, whether it's the Florida JUCO tour, Tennessee JUCO tour, Georgia JUCO tour, Mississippi JUCO tour, Texas, like each one of these states or areas have their own JUCO tour, and whatever you may say your recruiting area is, are you getting out to try to go see those teams and those players and connecting with those coaches? You just have to do it during this time. And, you talk about the different, just, kind of in our area that we're accustomed to and know about, whether it's Corey Black's, JUCO Jamboree, or Chris Watkins, or the one that's going to be in Orlando in October. You've got to get out. Hoops Hidden Gems has one in Mississippi. Like, you got to find a way to try to get out to see those guys, because when it comes down to March, April, May, people are making decisions, and you don't want to be just now learning about a kid or just now making contact, and now you don't have a shot at it. And I think, 10 years ago, JUCO was considered you had to have done something wrong or you had to have bad grades. It wasn't just maybe my recruitment wasn't what I needed to be, or maybe I'm very talented, but I need to work on, at my high school, I was a 4-man, but at the next level, I'm going to be a 3. I've got to work on being on the perimeter more. Well, that's what you're able to get a little bit more at the junior college level. And Coach Reedy said it right. The coaches that you see at these junior college levels, and you've seen some move up. Let's not get mistaken. We've seen them move up, to the Division I level, Division II, wherever. They're quality coaches, just along with quality players at that level. And in our program, and I'm not afraid to say it, and again, a reason why Coach Reedy is here, among many things, but is the ability for us to not just recruit the portal, not just recruit JUCO, not just recruit high school. We want to have a mix of all those three, and I think that's what's going to make us a great place for any recruit to come.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to touch a little bit on that. Like, one, the explosion of coaches is moving up. I think within the last 2 years, there's been especially this summer alone, I think there was 7 major JUCO head coaches that wound up getting mid-major, high-major assistant jobs. So I think, kind of to go to what you've said and your own thinking, Coach Huff, of like, when today's era of portal and the recognition of JUCO, it is kind of this new match that works together.
Yep.
And then to bring it home with the personal experience of coaches waiting later that you can miss out on a kid. So Huff, you came and watched us last year.
Yep.
We had a 6'10" pogo stick that shot 38 from 3 on the team. That at the end of his freshman year, I was taking calls from mid-majors all over. I mean, I can name them. Goes into his sophomore year, and we're sitting there at the early signing period, almost coming up to the early signing period, and our 6'10", arguably the best big in the league, shooting 38, averaging 15 and 10, and almost 3 blocks a game, is sitting there with no offers. And then Troy, within a span of 3 weeks, I like him. Offer, get a visit, and visit us, gets a commitment in 3 weeks, and he signs early. The moment our season ends, all these guys that I'm talking to in the summer or called me the summer before, start calling me back. Hey, what's so-and-so doing? What's so-and-so doing? Well, coach, like, he's already signed and committed. Like, you can't wait no more. And that's just like a personal, like, in-home experience I had. You know, like, and you can ask Huff. I mean, I'm not kind of exaggerating on the kid's talent now. I mean, he was every bit 6'10", 40-inch vertical. I mean, he's a D1 guy, and people were crazy when I said he only had one offer in the early signing period. And then Troy did that in 3 weeks. But that's because everybody waited.
So, Reedy, I know people may not know you, and those who don't know you don't know you as the recruiter that I know you as, right? I've seen you in the gym. Literally, any kid that I have ever asked you about, you've seen them multiple times. You recruited them. You can tell me what you like, what you don't like. Like, it's not highlights. Like, you've seen with your own eyes. Like, I feel like sometimes, Reedy, I would try you when I walk in the gym, and I would just look at the book and just read off a name. And every kid that you saw. But Reedy, I've heard a lot of great things about on-court instruction with you as well. Like, did you ever fear at all or have any issues with like only being known as a recruiter and wanting to prove yourself as a great X's and O's and strategic coach as well? Did you ever think about that at all?
I did. Obviously, knowing a couple of my guys and that are really close to me in this business, people that I would call mentors and close friends, we've had those conversations about just getting the label of a recruiter in today's business. How that could be a good thing.
Is that bad to get punished for being really good at your job? Like, does that aggravate you? Like, you're really good at it.
I mean, I appreciate it. I think Coach Huff can attest. I personally will never call me good because I personally don't. Look, I'm not the smartest. I'm not the brightest. I'm not all that. But I will say someone ain't going to have more rubber on the road than me. And that's where I take my pride in. And that's where I'll say I'm good at. Everything else, hey, I just do work.
But I know he's got, hold on, I know he's got to answer the second part of that question.
Yeah.
But I think he's a testament to not getting ready, but staying ready. Like, I don't think people remember. We were March 11th or 12th this past year. Coach Reedy and I were at an event recruiting. I'm at my previous place. He's at his previous place of employment. We're recruiting for our places. Every time you're out, no matter where you are in this business, you're being evaluated. And at that time, Coach Reedy had no clue. I didn't have any clue that I was going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. Like, he had no clue he would be here with me. But every time we saw each other on the road, every time, I was blessed to recruit some of the guys from his JUCO, when I was at Voorhees. But being on the road with him, seeing him work, seeing his relationships with coaches, because when you're a JUCO coach, you get to have a relationship with the four-year institutions that's just a little bit different, right? But seeing those relationships and how those guys respect him for the work he puts in and be a head coach, and you watch, you pay attention, and those dinners after recruiting where we're just talking hoops. Like, it's not a job interview. You let us know we're just talking hoops. It all paid dividends in the end. And when we're having those conversations, not even knowing at that time he was from Florida. Like
I didn't know either.
So, nobody want to check the area code.
Yeah, I never thought about it till he said, "Look at the area code on my phone, coach."
No, but the second, talking with my men, talking with people close to me in the business that have been labeled the same or have previously been labeled just that, it's a two-edged sword, because if you're labeled that, there's always a market and a job for you, no matter where. But the other edge of the sword is, well, you're always just a recruiter. So when it comes to, if you're trying to move up and try to be associate head or head coach at your own job, that's when all of a sudden what everybody praised you for is now the thing they're kind of holding you back on. Well, you're just a recruiter, not an XOs guy, yada, yada, yada. But I also know, I've seen coaches that are just recruiters, head coaches, but know how to hire and still make it work, just like the brilliant X's and O's guy. But for some reason, because you're the recruiter, it's used against you. But you could take a brilliant X's and O's guy that does no recruitment, and he's always going to be further up the board than us. So I have thought, it was an interesting take talking with those guys, and I have to throw a shout out, and I owe so much of where I'm at in my career right now to my last boss, Coach Ben Hicks at Chat Valley, who's now the AD. Because coming in, that was I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the, you understand it, but doing it and teaching it is always a little different from your head and how you translate it. And that was the biggest area he pushed and challenged me. And man, the wealth of knowledge and stuff I got in 4 years under him. I mean, like I said, nothing against my other two bosses before that. They've done stuff, but in terms of that aspect of getting ready and on the court stuff, that was the big push that came from him. And, thankful for it, because it has led me here. And, I appreciate the, the good words on it, because I'm just one of those that is always in the back of my mind. You worry, you always think, is it good enough? Is it right? Is it up to standard? Is this what's going to get us wins? Is this what is going to get those guys ready? And you always have those questions, or I'm maybe just different and it runs through my head, but it's been a big growth within the last 4 years of it.
No doubt. Reedy, we're all paranoid, brother. I tell you that for sure. Reedy, you talked about Ben Hicks a little bit and what he meant to your career. How give me some other things that maybe being at Chat Valley and that experience did to prepare you for some things that you've seen in Jacksonville Air Water so far.
Man, to answer that, I kind of have to wheel it back a little bit to know the path. Because I started at Lee, private Christian school. But when I started there, it was the same situation. I was there when we made the transition from NAI top 15 every year to D2. So seeing that and handled it in a different area, but then I left private institution to a state school of an established program, and watching, and working with Robert Moore at Columbus State and how we handled everything there. But again, it's 2 established programs in their own rights. Now to Chat Valley, when Coach Hicks hired me, we were walking in on a ground level restart. Just to kind of give an idea, I remember we were hosting our first workouts, trying to find kids late. Coach said, man, go grab the cones. We're going to do some drills. I'm running through the office, scurrying, looking through things. Coach, I don't see no cones. Like, we didn't have cones day one. So starting from there and trying to reestablish a JUCO that back in the day in the 90s, late 90s, had a name. And trying to reestablish it and really almost rebuild a program. And I hate using that term only for the fact of I know the coach before us, he didn't do anything bad, which I know where that term kind of connotates that, but it's not. But it was rebuilding it to a new modern nowadays program. And there was only 2 of us. There was the head coach and me. And then after a year, he also got the AD job. So helping build a program, and then once he got the AD job, basically getting handled a lot of tasks that if you didn't have the AD and was just head coach, I probably wouldn't see. A lot of tasks Coach Huff does now. But all of a sudden getting thrusted almost, in a way, almost like a second acting head coach, because there's days Ben would be gone. Hey, I got AD meetings, I got compliance meetings, I got this. Hey, I got to do eligibility for baseball. You never know what comes up. So working with the program that, less is more, doing more with less, and building something has really, there's a lot of similarities going on with where we're at now. But the great thing is I go, Huff, you've seen it, been around it, done more or less. We were blessed with what we have, but there was a lot of things we had to do at Chat Valley. But coming into this situation where we're building our own brand and getting it out there and building a program back up, but we're having the blessings of, the backing to do it has made it very helpful and easier compared to what we did. So it's almost like I'm redoing what I just did for 4 years, but with more resources. So that's been the interesting aspect on top of, like I said, kind of been acting as a second head coach the last 2 years with Chat Valley and under Ben, has got it prepared to even though I'm the lone wolf on staff that's never been a head coach, I still can think in scheduling and certain ways of task management because I've had to do it and knowing what Ben Hicks needed every day. And that could be knowing what he needs, but never seeing him.
Hey, Huff, see, a lot of people, Reedy, they hear that. I understand that in a different way because I've seen you work. I've seen you anticipate and know when Huff walked out there the first time it was time to recruit for Edward Waters, and I seen Huff holding this little piece of paper in his hand. My guy Reedy got to work. My guy Reedy got to work.
Hey, I know I got tasks to get done, but I've worked for 2 bosses now that, we all know Huff as a mayor. It comes with, social capabilities and being well known. And I've worked for 2 bosses that get them out in public and they see people, they like to talk. But it's like, no, coach, no, I need you over here. Like, you can talk with them in a second, but I need you over here. You know,
No
so
doubt.
it's
Huff, have you,
fun, you know, but it's just I can think of it in that way of just like, okay, this is what needs to be done. Go in and organize, have this done, this done, this done, um, and just really not just having me prepared, but staff prepared for whatever it is. If it's a jamboree, if it's a daily task, practice. I mean, anything. Just it's never me prepared. It's are we prepared? Because if we aren't prepared, it shows.
got you? No doubt. Huff, have you filled out your paperwork for governorship in the state of Florida yet? I,
Hey,
I know.
we're making our rounds so everybody can know
He's
that every
collecting votes right now.
is in the building. So we're just doing what we have to do, man. And we want people, honestly, we do want people in Florida to know us. Like, we want to come to your gyms, we want to see your guys. And if you can understand that we can't offer and recruit every kid at every school now, but we do want to make connections, real connections, because it may not be this year's team, but it may be next year's team, or that kid may have gotten better that we really want to recruit. We really want to have relationships from Duval, all the way through Florida. And that's really what we kind of been about since I've been here, and us getting on the road and making sure people know who we are, and us having elite camps and team camps, the first ever team camp, at Elwood Waters was a success. And we didn't really have the time to really put it together like we really wanted to, but we just knew we needed it. And, when you got those people in the gym that say, I've been in Jacksonville 10 years and I've never been over here. Wow, this place is amazing. Or, man, I don't know why y'all never had a team camp before. And I know it takes a lot of work, especially when you're trying to, in the middle of June, go out and then have a team camp too. Like, it's a lot of work, but it's just something I'm really big on. And having a guy that has worked in that aspect before, Columbus State has team camps. They have little kids camp. They have elite camps, Lee, the recruiting aspect, him knowing the area that we're trying to recruit from, all that stuff matters, man. So, and he challenges me. Like, he challenges our staff. I think that's what people sometimes miss on when you want to hire somebody. Like, you can't just hire somebody that's going to say, okay, coach, whatever you say, let's run that. Let's do that. It's going to work. Like, no, they got to challenge you sometime to make you think, like, I didn't think about it that way. Like, yeah, let's do that, or, well, talk to me through it. Walk me through it. And Dre, you and I have had a conversation, and you told me point blank, you said, Huff, you let that happen?
Yes.
Must be really good. you let them do that.
Woo! I'm wondering what that was.
Hey, Reedy, people don't know that I my unofficial title as Huff Whisperer.
Well,
I've just been around long enough to see him operate, like watching him coach. I was in that St. Francis gym. I mean, for at least half of their home games, right, and some of their away games as well. And before we even knew each other, so he was just one of the coaches that I like to watch. I love this team, so I've watched him coach so much that you just kind of pick up certain things, right? And you kind of know certain things. So when I see other people doing certain things, it's like, oh yeah, that guy's doing a good job. That guy's doing a good job. Don't worry about it, Reedy. Just keep rocking out.
I'm probably considered the crazy man on staff, like you said, because I'll be the one that. I'm not afraid to, share a point of view or a challenge now, but don't get it twisted.
He'll also flip, like he'll think something and he'll come back and say, you know what?
I'm not afraid to. I may be hard and challenged, but I'm never above admitting when I'm wrong.
Got you.
And there's already probably been one or two incidents that, been a little wrong on. But I've definitely been especially some of the meetings we have, and I'm sure I know you're gonna have Coach Britt on here at some point. But him being a head coach in high school, and then Huff probably laughs at it watching when we get to meet and talking about recruiting or other things. Are two different point of views that go at it and go back and forth. Nothing in a bad way, but it's definitely two, high school JUCO, just different points of view of it. And I'm sure Huff just gets one day he just busted out laughing in the middle of the meeting, and we're just kind of like, huh? He's like, y'all just funny.
So Reedy, let's talk about expectations, man. When you got the call originally from Huff to say, hey, this is what's going on, this is the position or whatever. I don't know how it happened, but I'm just assuming, right? There was a phone call of some kind, a communication of some sort.
Yeah. Interesting.
What were your initial thoughts at that moment about coming to Edward Waters, and then how do you feel, or how has that changed today?
Man, first off, to seriously consider it, and you both have heard me talk, and I'm about it and really open. First off, to leave where I was at with who I was with. I wasn't leaving just for anybody. I may be the crazy one, the whatever, different guy. Been in it kind of long enough, not as long as a lot of people, but the who you work for outweighs 95% of the logo on the shirt. And again, Ben, like, I owe so much to him. He's family. Like, that guy is family to the end. Like, I'm a big believer on you're in certain places in your life for certain reasons. And that my time there, it was clear. And he's family. And so to leave him, first off, it wasn't just going to be for anybody. I got to know Huff through the years and, how he is as a person. I say person and not coach for a reason. Because, again, I'm not leaving who I was with for just anybody. So that was checkbox 1 from the jump. Checkbox 2, yeah, you start hearing about the details of the job. Obviously, Huff knows me, you know me, I'm not much of a sugarcoater. You start hearing what other people say, HBCU, it's, NAI transition, look what they did, look what's going on. You hear it all. Obviously, known a little bit about it, known a lot of people connected. But when some of the talks we had, and it wasn't so much about my position and my package, but more so of what they're doing and willing to do for the program, spoke volumes of the athletic department's vision and want to of it, which, again, in all my stops, I've seen multiple sides to the coin of if that athletic department doesn't have a vision or a plan or a want, it doesn't matter who you've hired. So checkbox 1, check. Checkbox 2, check. Now we go into the personal things. That all checked out. 4th, I'm going home to Florida. Check. But I'm going to just say it how it is. I know Huff's probably had 100 conversations with it. And Dre, you've probably heard a lot about it. Let's get to the core of it. It's a HBCU, and I'm different. And I say it in the most respectful way, but at the end of the day, those are still questions that were asked to me, to you, Coach Huff. And Dre, you probably heard it. If you probably weren't one of the questions that asked it. The challenge that came, how you say it, reputation that comes with that title. But Huff, you've heard me say it before, like go down through my last jobs after Lee, they may not have had an HBCU title. But I'll say this, being the only white guy was the common thread in 3 stops now. It's just, it is what it is.
Right.
So it may not have had an HBCU tag, but it wasn't like I didn't know how it functioned.
Right.
So you hear all those things, you kind of worry about some things more so on a bigger level, not personal. But then you start coming and then finally get down here and start experiencing it and seeing the people that are working. And it's like, man, they like really care and they really want to pour in. And so all these concerns and, you know, stereotypes that come with it are like they start washing away, but it's like at the same time you're like, man, I wish more people could see or meet these people, because it's different. Like, I mean, I can go into a lot of details of like, yeah, it's an HBCU and the stereotypes and the connotation it has, not just as people level, but a program level. But how different it is. Like, we don't operate, we're not funded like the stories you hear of HBCU. And so like I already had high expectations for certain things, but personally with my eyes once getting down here and dealing with the people and seeing the genuine care and the want for all programs to be good and the backing of it, not just from the coaches across all sports, but from your athletic administration all the way to your president. Like, I've never been in an athletic department meeting where the president comes and spends an hour talking and has lunch with you guys. That's off campus. Like, those are things that like speak volumes. And I mean, it's made it easy to transition. It's been fun, really. Like, I mean, it's, you get excited because, you know, everybody wants to be good, but like you're being supported behind it. And, you know, again, once a lot's given, a lot is, you know, required or responsible for. And those are the challenges, but it's the fun challenge of it. And it's not the stereotype of, well, it's a HBCU. And you can, I mean, Dre, Coach Huff, you can even talk to some of my friends or anybody. Like, I've never shied away from HBCU and talking HBCU. I mean, I think Huff, it was one lunch I had with you and a couple other people where I blatantly got asked,
Yep,
as a white guy in basketball and to recruit, how is it being on that side of it? Like, how do you relate to other people when right off the rip, your stereotype or connotation, you know, reputation may not be the same? And I mean, I'd be, you know, dismissed if I don't say, like, I've had kids in our CV program that came to CV because of Ben. And I'm going to just say it how it is. Like, they sat in the room with like, man, we're not playing for another white coach. So, and to give my answer on that, it's never been a problem, because I think everybody and these kids nowadays are all looking for genuine relationship and love and a guidance. But you have to have both of those. If one part's missing, the other part doesn't work. You know, without rules, without relationship is rebellion.
that's a clip.
Hey, you might want to take that off mute.
That's definitely getting clipped up.
So, and at least, basketball in my life it's been my driving force. It's been good to me. So it's just a matter of like giving back. I mean, again, I grew up single parent home. That was it. No other family. So like how it was to me is, really kind of just pouring back into these kids and just watching them like, Coach Huff, you recruited a couple of my guys that went out to there. I mean, some of my happiest moments was having guys like we've had people want to call them reclamation projects with GPAs or just kids with nothing, but then they get something and they call you like, Coach, like I just committed so-and-so full ride, but they had nothing. I mean, I think we had in my 4 years of CV, we had one kid that had a high school offer before he came to us. Yet in 4 years, we put, I think it was 20 kids into 4-year programs on full rides. And on the more impressive side, to me, we graduated everybody but 4 kids on time. So we had kids that, basketball, it was the end, but it was, Coach, I'm going to this school, finish my degree. I'm going to go start my own business. And getting those calls and those things, man, like that's, I don't know, that was always the bigger enjoyment to me there.
And sure. That's another part of the reason, I knew when by recruiting his guys before hiring him, you didn't have to worry about his guys academically because you didn't have to worry about them structure, discipline because they already had it coming from that program. So a person's DNA, right? And so I didn't care, about the question as you asked, or why him at a HBCU, why not him? The same thing we tell people when we want them to come to Edward Waters. Why not Edward Waters? The only HBCU Division II in Florida. Why not us? So why not Coach Reedy for us? He fits who we are. No matter what that means, he fits who we are. So, when we talk about why not EWU, he represents us. And, just like we want recruits that represent us, Coach Reedy does that. And so, I will take a little recruiting bit here. Again, why not EWU? We are Duval, the only D2 HBCU in Florida, the first independent institution of higher learning in Florida. That's history. Like there is history on Kings Road. And we just want more people to come over and see the history and the change and evolution of what we have become. Our president said it in that meeting he spoke of, from whence we've come. Like, Justin, since he's been here, from whence we've come. And that's not to discredit anybody before us. Like, Coach Summers did a great job, like, from what he was doing here. Coach Burnett did a great job of what he did here before Coach Summers. Like, we understand the task that we've been put in front of us, and we're just trying to build and keep building upon that.
For sure. What is that like? I think Reedy kind of touched on it. You've touched on it. The common thing has been rebuilding with resources, rebuilding with support. We're trying to build a program or build a culture, but we've got support and we've got resources. Coach, I know that hasn't been the case. No shots at anybody, but you've had spots in your career where that was not the case. In the same way that Reedy talked about him having spots in his career where that wasn't the case. Just touch on your experience at Edward Waters and the support of the administration and the resources. I know I was taking digs at y'all before the show that both of y'all got on new gear. I will be making my trip up to get some Edward Waters gear. I've seen more shirts and different combinations. I saw in many years at your previous position. So, talk to us a little bit about that. About again, how important it is to have support from your administration, and then the resources that have been available to you at Edward Waters.
Man, I tell anybody, I don't care, and I say it all the time. I don't care if you're talking about a business, a program, a sports program, whatever. You've got to have a mission and a vision. And I think it's perfectly clear. Our president and our athletic administration under Dr. Ivana Rich have a mission and a vision of where they want our programs to be. They want championship teams and programs. They want championship culture. They want championship academics, and they want championship human beings. And I think when you're putting all that together, you have people that are pushing you towards excellence, and they want that. Like, we don't shy away at Edward Waters when we have our athletic meetings with coaches. We've got 17 sports. We want 17 championships. So they're pushing you towards excellence. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you can't push somebody towards excellence if you're not putting your money where your mouth is, right? And that's not saying you're going to get everything you want, but you're going to get what you need to be successful. Now, how do you maneuver what you need to be successful? And when we start talking about not just HBCUs, but we can talk about them predominantly, but even your smaller PWIs at Division I or Division II, where funding matters. To be successful in anything, you got to put your money where your mouth is. And then the chips can line up as they may. And then you can start having other kind of discussions. But when you put your money where your mouth is, where a kid can come to whatever program and not go to another program and say, man, we don't get that, right? You know, even if it's a difference if you're saying, man, they're getting 5 shoes and you're not getting none. And that's different. But if you're saying, well, they getting 5 and we getting 3, well, we can still talk, right?
Right.
We can still talk. So it's just the little things that matter. And they want these kids, just like we do, to be successful. And to me, that's what it was all about. Even when taking the job, was I saw that vision and that mission from the president and the athletic director. And even when I brought Coach Reedy and Coach Britt to say, these are the people I want to hire, there was no, well, let me look and, are you sure? Like, it was, okay, all right. Granted, they had to pass a background check. I'm not trying to hire anybody. But they trust the coaches they have to do the jobs they're supposed to do, and they're going to push you to make sure that job gets done. But you're going to also have the backing of them, not just resource wise, but whatever else you need to make sure it takes place. And that's why you've seen the success. You've seen volleyball, win championships, men and women. You've seen softball. You've seen baseball. You've seen the stability and longevity of coaches that we have on campus. When you walk on campus and say, the women's basketball coach and the baseball coach have been there 13 years. That says a lot. That says a lot. I don't care where you are. We can count on our hand how many basketball coaches, men and women, have been somewhere that long.
For sure.
So not only do you have to win, because we know winning matters, but you got to be doing the right thing, not just on the court, but other places. Or not just because Coach Reginald Johnson has won in baseball, been an HBCU national champion, got the big ring for it. He cracks a joke on Coach Reedy and our staff every day. And I just want to be like y'all. No, we want to be like you. Longevity, success, no, that's the real mayor. We'll get him on, but that's the real mayor of Jacksonville now. Reginald Johnson.
No doubt.
I want to piggyback off the resources because your background, Dre, is a big selling point. Yeah. Coach Huff can attest. So everybody knows there was we had a D1 coach drop by practice this morning.
Yep.
And he walked in and started looking around like, yo, like, you guys really got it over here. Like you guys, like, it's better than ours. I mean, And mind you, they built that as an NAI, not a D2. So that shows the vision.
I feel like we about to get a Coach Prime sample right here. We coming. I believe, Reedy. I believe, Reedy.
I know you do.
We are Duval. We are Duval.
Oh, yeah. Wait till that starts getting plastered and worn around.
I'm locked in, man. Speaking of, right, one of the things that you guys bring to the table, and doing for the university, you got your elite camp coming up, your fall elite camp. I'll
this
pop the
Sunday,
flyer up.
This Sunday, we're excited, man. I just obviously, the first one you're just taking a job and you're trying to figure everything out. But this one is, we locked into guys that we really want to have there and open it up to a few more people. But we're excited to get people to see our campus, to see us as an entire staff now. Like the first camp, everybody wasn't there. We didn't have our players. Like they can see it all up front and personal and see how we can make young men better on and off the court. And so they're going to get all of that when they come on campus, see our facilities. It's funny because as elite camp going on, they're going to see, how important athletics is. At some point during the day, there's a soccer game that's going to be going on in the stadium. So, like, they'll get the chance to see what we're all about. And we're really excited about that, man. And we've got some great people, young men who've committed to coming. But it's still open. Registration's still open. If you don't have that registration, I know Andre can't put it back up there, or you can't, click the link right there. But if you go on any one of our social media pages, Coach Reedy or myself, or even Edward Waters men's basketball or Coach Britt, you'll find an information, or Coach Chuck, you'll find an information of how to sign up for Elite Camp. Session 1, the 11 o'clock one, is almost full. Session 2, you definitely can, get aboard, but we're going to have a good time, man. You're going to get to play some. You're going to get better. You're going to understand what it's like to be a college basketball player in different settings.
I've seen your elite counts before. Players and parents, hydrate. Be ready. This is not, you don't want to be out the night before. Be ready.
Don't enjoy the Jacksonville Beach the night before if you got to come in.
Yeah, you're in for a great treat. Also up, you're gonna be busy in September.
Man, and
got the Embrace Us Fall Coaches Clinic.
And we keep talking about it, not just for opportunity for myself to speak, but it's opportunity for them to see us at Edward Waters, like to be a part of this. And my host, like, people a lot of times think it's just you speaking, but I purposely told my staff, I said, they didn't know. I was like, you guys are coming. They said, huh? I said, so we're going to use it to recruit some before, but you guys are going to be on the court with me because it's what we're doing is like what we do in practice. So it's not about me. It's about us. And anybody that knows us as a staff, whether it's Reedy, Britt, myself, Coach Chuck, it's never about us individual. It's about us collectively and how we can get better. So it's an opportunity for them to see at least the start of what we're trying to build here at Edward Waters. Like tomorrow will be day number 6. Day number 6, like of really being on the court.
Wow.
And as tough as that is at sometimes, when you're trying to build, but when you see progression, you're like, man, today was a good day. And
sure.
We keep stacking days, man. And that clinic is just going to be an opportunity for them to see, again, why Coach Reedy is not just a recruiter. What Coach Britt brings to the table. If they could see in Coach Chuck when those guys have individuals, and Reedy will tell you I'm not lying. The other day, we ended our individuals. I told our team, I said, man, these dudes are really good. I might have said something else, but these dudes are really good. Because they are, man. They are. Like, what they bring to the table, how prepared they are for each day, and what they're doing, the attention to detail for what they're doing. It speaks to them as a person, but obviously it speaks to why I think they're a great fit for Edward Waters.
Good stuff.
And you can get Reedy's take on practice,
Hey, I full practice. I'm learning. I'm one of the guys. I'm learning with them. All right, we're doing this way. Like it was so funny today. You called a drill out. Me and Britt looked at each other like, hold on. Do you know that? Have you heard that one? Like, that was really short. We're like, oh, okay, that's that one. Okay. But we were looking at each other like, do you know what that one is? No, wait. Okay. And so like we're learning as much as they are right now in terms of, like I said, it's really day 5, day 6. Like, we've talked and planned, but again, we've never. I mean, Dre, you got more minutes in a Huff practice than us. Like you could pull up something a practice plan closer to him than we could right now.
Hey, call me for notes.
But the years of, and again, I'm blessed because I'm learning from one Huff and his years, but also Coach Britt. Like, he's come from a very successful head coach in high school, so like watching how he operates and maneuver and way he looks at things. Because again, I'm the lone wolf on staff that's never had a known program, but learning from two guys that have, like, there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of details and stuff to be watched on.
No question. Huff, anything that you feel like we missed? Anything we need to make sure we cover before we get out of here?
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully I'm not putting, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I want to shout out our women's soccer team. I think it's the best start they've had in school history, even including today. I think they tied Florida Memorial today, but I think they're undefeated. So if I'm not mistaken. Best starter in school history. And, our team was able to support the volleyball team on Tuesday in their home game as they beat Warner 3-1. So really excited about that. And we're going to be out there again on Saturday to support those football guys and hopefully see them turn the corner and get their first win in game number 2. So it's a lot going on, but really exciting time at Edward Waters. And then, you get to that first weekend in October, I think everybody's going to want to be in Duval then for homecoming. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Hey, what I tell you, Reedy? Early October.
Right, just make sure Huff got you one of them exclusives on reserve.
Oh, Huff, no. If I ain't gonna get you roll, I ain't coming. Huff, no.
One of them, exclusive shirts on hold.
Yeah, right. But all right, fellas, man. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Good luck this weekend on the elite camp, the fall elite camp. Players, parents, again, hydrate and bring water. Don't go out the night before. This ain't those little fluff camps y'all used to going to. Trust me on that one. I already asked for last words. I think we good. Fellas, I'm staying away from championship expectations. I'm doing good, huh? I'm doing good, right?
You are. Don't let him set you up, Reedy.
No, it's not that. I was just gonna say, man, it just reminds me of a lot of he does about championships, but the way he kind of tries to subtly sucker you into things reminds me of a lot of days in the office.
I know, right? Like, then, like, now you got Twitter material or X, whatever you call it, X material that's, they're going to be clipping Coach Reedy said championship.
I've been keeping everybody safe and out of harm's way. We're going to have a wonderful season that may or may not end in a ring ceremony.
Hey, listen, probably the only thing, Dre, that we did forget is we're going to be off next week, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks.
That's true. Off next week. We're back in 2 weeks. with another great episode, and I believe we have another special guest. So,
Yes, sir.
We'll see you guys then. We're off next week. Be back in 2 weeks. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe.